Snoop Dogg might just be the biggest liar in the rap game. You might not realize it, but Snoop Dogg was once public enemy #1 in America. From facing murder charges to going on the run to being the face of gangsta rap, Snoop Dogg was once hip-hop's biggest icon. But let's just say that things have changed now. Nowadays, Snoop Dogg is a household name for totally different reasons. He's managed to stay relevant by changing up his image and evolving to the point where your grandma probably loves him. But all these years later, Snoop's legacy has come into serious question, and it turns out that a lot of other rappers are just tired of his shit. That's exactly why we're doing a thorough breakdown on all the reasons Snoop Dogg lost the respect of the hip-hop community. What's the story behind Tupac's hatred of Snoop? Why do so many people accuse Snoop of lying about his friendship with Biggie? And did Snoop Dogg know about Tupac's murder before it was going to happen? We've even dug through court documents to give you the full picture behind Snoop's highly controversial 1996 murder trial and how he recently got the evidence behind the case sealed for good. Finally, we're gonna look at how the Drake-Kendrick Lamar beef might have exposed Snoop for who he really is. It's looking like Snoop's legendary status is finally being questioned.
It's the one and only D-O-double-G. Snoop Dogg!
Once upon a time, Snoop Dogg was really the biggest rapper out there. After growing up in Long Beach, California, Snoop crossed paths with Dr. Dre in the early 90s, and right from the jump, Dre saw massive potential in him. The problem was that Snoop was an active member of the Rollin' 20s Crips. Meanwhile, Dre's business partner, Suge Knight, the CEO of Death Row Records, was affiliated with the mob Piru Bloods. That meant that Snoop had to cross enemy territory in order to work with Dre. But in Snoop's case, when you mix red and blue, you got a whole lot of green. Snoop Dogg became the biggest star in Death Row's roster. His debut album Doggy Style dropped in 1993 and made history as the fastest selling rap album of all time. It sold over 800,000 copies in its first week alone and spent 3 weeks at #1. The album became an instant classic and helped cement Death Row's reputation as the biggest gangster rap label of all time. But the streets still cast a long shadow over Snoop's come up. While he was recording the album, Snoop was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Snoop and his bodyguard McKinley Malik Lee had crossed paths with an op named Little Smooth, who was part of the Buy Yourself Hustlers gang. And while Snoop and Malik claimed the shooting was in self-defense, the murder case haunted Snoop's career for years. At one point, Snoop literally showed up to the MTV Awards while he was still a fugitive from the LAPD. It's safe to say that a guilty verdict wouldn't have just destroyed his career, but would have led to a life sentence. Suge Knight himself said that he had to intervene in order to save Snoop from prison.
The lawyer said, well, the bodyguard has a 9mm, so we can't say he protected Snoop and shot the guy. Snoop had a .380. I said, that's not a problem. It would be fucked if the bodyguard had a .380 and Snoop had a 9mm and he got shot with a .380, right? Got shot with a 9mm. But since Snoop had the .380 and the bodyguard had a 9 and he got shot with a .380, what the bodyguard got to say is he was using .380 bullets in his 9mm.
When the case finally went to trial in 1996, Snoop hired high-powered defense attorney Johnny Cochran to defend him in court, the same lawyer who got O.J. Simpson acquitted on murder charges just a few years earlier. Snoop and Malik were both found not guilty, but the ordeal of nearly losing everything definitely haunted Snoop. Snoop had one foot in the streets and one in the industry, and he realized he'd have to make a massive change if he wanted to survive. But once Tupac got signed to Death Row, Snoop's situation got way more complicated.
We got beef with the people we got beef with, but we could go anywhere in the country because we are America's most wanted.
Exactly.
Just as Snoop got acquitted on murder charges, Tupac was fanning the flames of the biggest war the rap game had ever seen. Pac was on a warpath against the notorious B.I.G. and Puff Daddy, aka Diddy. But Snoop's boss, Suge Knight, also had a personal vendetta against Puffy. And now that Pac was on death row, Suge trained all the label's firepower on fueling the so-called East Coast-West Coast beef. But Snoop wanted zero parts of this. At the very height of the East Coast-West Coast tension, Snoop gave a controversial interview where he showed love to Biggie and Puff, and Tupac was livid.
Pac just runs in my room. I'm like, man, what's up? He like, you got a radio? You know, he all pumped up. He cut the radio on, and we listened to Snoop on the radio. Snoop is, you know, saying that's Pac on the book. He'd do a song with Biggie, he'd do a song with Puffy, he'd do all these songs. So Pac was so mad because Pac loved those dudes, always would ride for them. And he brought it up.
To Pac, this was the ultimate betrayal. Tupac had shown support for Snoop during his trial by showing up to court with him day in and day out. If anything, Pac tried to treat his new death row family like a true brotherhood, but obviously Snoop didn't keep that same energy. After Snoop stabbed Pac in the back, it fractured the death row lineup forever. Other death row artists agreed that by shouting out Bad Boy Records, Snoop was acting disloyal. Suge even claims that Pac tried to fight Snoop for that interview.
When we got downstairs, Pac took off on Snoop. Pac ran up on him, did what he did. Snoop ran this way, Pac running behind him. I stopped it. We ain't finna be doing all these in New York, making us all look like we some idiots.
According to Suge, Snoop wasn't just jealous of Tupac, he was scared of him too. Snoop himself said that when he was alone with Pac on a private plane without his bodyguard, he was fully prepared in case Pac decided to jump him.
I walked to the back of the plane, give me a blanket, grab me a knife and a fork, put the blanket over my nose, and ride like this the whole flight, hoping one of them come with me so I could stab out everybody on this mother. That's the last time I seen my live.
After Tupac's murder in 1996, Death Row Records went into decline. Suge got hit with a 9-year prison sentence after he violated probation, and Snoop left the label behind. But there are still major questions over Snoop's possible connection to Pac's assassination in Las Vegas.
Snoop lying. That's what you should need to keep your name. Snoop lying, because you always lying.
At the time of Tupac's death, there was still lingering tension between him and Snoop, and Suge Knight alleges that Snoop may have played a role in orchestrating Pac's demise. In fact, Suge says that Snoop ordered his group, the Dog Pound, to stay clear of Vegas that very weekend because he knew something was gonna go down. Quote, Snoop, who everyone knew at the time wanted Tupac dead. The Dog Pound said, "We're not going to Vegas. This is their words, not mine. We're not going to Vegas because something's gonna happen. Someone's gonna get killed, right?" Apparently, Warren G, who introduced Snoop to Dr. Dre in the first place, was hanging out with Snoop on the night of Tupac's murder. And Suge says that Snoop was using a radio to listen in to Tupac's assassination in real time. Quote, Snoop comes in, according to Warren G, and he's got this big walkie-talkie, and they start hearing the gun. When we're getting shot, Snoop's listening to it in real time. Pow, 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 all over the radio. That's when he tell him, "Hey, I gotta go. They just killed Tupac and Suge." How would you know? No one said that on the radio. You just heard the shits. And when you connect the dots, it gets even crazier. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the man charged with Tupac's murder, was an active member of the Southside Crips. And according to Keefe D, it was Diddy himself who put $1 million bounty on Tupac and Suge. While Diddy's denied the allegations, Snoop's own Crip affiliation and him showing love to Diddy at the height of the East Coast-West Coast beef definitely seems suspicious. But the thing that really has people second-guessing Snoop is the stories he's told since Tupac's murder. A lot of people from Death Row's inner circle have called out Snoop for exaggerating his friendship with Pac and even outright lying. Reggie White Jr., who used to run security for Death Row Records, called out Snoop after he claimed that he didn't like Tupac's diss records towards Biggie. He pointed out that there's actual footage of Snoop vibing while Tupac dissed Biggie on stage. Quote, Snoop's a motherfucking liar. Look at him at the House of Blues. Look at him. And then there's Snoop's alleged friendship with Biggie. And the reason I'm saying alleged is that while Snoop claims that he and Biggie were tight, everybody else says Snoop is lying his ass off. Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, revealed that Biggie had no respect for Snoop and that they were never friends.
Big got in that studio and said, "I don't know why this Snoop's calling me. I'm not telling this where I'm at."
And when you really break it down, it's almost as if Snoop painted this picture of trying to be the peacemaker in order to rebrand himself. He told the media that he was cool with Tupac and cool with Biggie so he could portray an image and distance himself from his Death Row connections. And according to Gene, it seemed that Biggie saw right through Snoop and just didn't fuck with him at all.
Wasn't Big out at California 3-4 weeks and Snoop never saw him? Snoop never came to smoke nothing with him. Snoop never came to eat nothing with him. But it was a whole lot of love. Come on, man.
To hear a lot of people tell it, Snoop gets away with a lot of cap. And all that cap may have helped Snoop build his multi-million-dollar empire.
Wow, wow, wow.
After leaving Death Row, he linked up with Master P's No Limit Records in New Orleans. In the mid-2000s, his team up with Pharrell turned Drop It Like It's Hot into the most popular rap song of the decade. In 2012, Snoop said that he was a Rastafarian, changed his name to Snoop Lion, and dropped an entire reggae tape. 6 years later, Snoop said he was a born-again Christian and put out a gospel record. And the whole time, Snoop was steadily changing the way mainstream America looked at him. While the media used to treat him as a menace to society, Snoop reinvented himself as the kind of family-friendly celebrity who hangs out with Martha Stewart. I mean, this guy has his own kids cartoon called Doggyland. The only person who might do more commercials than Snoop is Shaq. Basically what I'm saying is that Snoop raked in hundreds of millions of dollars by pushing this narrative that he was the rap game's biggest peacemaker, and according to some people closest to him, the whole thing was a lie. In 2022, he bought back the rights to Death Row Records and became the label's newest owner, almost like his career had come full circle. In fact, Snoop had become so powerful and so connected that he literally managed to have that charge from the 90s practically erased from legal history. In October of 2024, the state of California granted Snoop's request that the 1993 case be sealed, which means the public will no longer be able to access evidence or courtroom documents. It's almost as if Snoop gets to rewrite history. But even though Snoop wants to be seen as the ultimate peacemaker, he did get weirdly involved in the Drake-Kendrick beef. The way he acted had the whole West Coast looking at him sideways.
Are you sure?
When Drake released his Kendrick diss Tailor-Made Freestyle, he used AI to make his vocals sound like Snoop Dogg and Tupac.
I know you never been to jail, always jumpsuits and shower shoes. Never shot nobody, never nobody, never did nothing violent, and no one, it's the homies that empower you.
Now, Tailor-Made was highly controversial. Some fans thought Drake was finding a creative way to diss his op, while others felt that he was crossing a line by potentially mocking legends. But Snoop surprised everyone when he co-signed the record and posted Tailor-Made on his socials. For someone who was supposed to be the West Coast's ultimate OG, Snoop sharing the diss track was a major violation, and Kendrick seemed to agree. Snoop apologized for posting the song, but the whole incident definitely shook up his image. And honestly, it made a lot of people look closer at Snoop's past and all the times he's moved weirdly. Suge Knight even responded from prison saying this is exactly who Snoop had always been, and it shouldn't surprise anyone since he blames Snoop for Tupac's downfall.
Putting him on a song with Snoop, who was a part of his downfall, and never a good look.
Snoop has lasted decades in the game by always switching up and trying something new. It's what took him from the back streets of Long Beach to the Super Bowl stage. But nowadays, people are getting tired of Snoop Dogg's constant switch-ups, and for that very reason, he's lost the respect of his peers. The fact of the matter is, Snoop used to be seen as one of the rap game's most unimpeachable legends, but the more people look into his behavior, the more respect he's destined to lose. And if you want to know more about Snoop and Death Row's shady past, I've done a whole breakdown on Dr. Dre's hidden dark side. Check it out.